7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to 99.5 W Kills FM, where all the beats are good. I'm just kidding.
You can't even do that to pretend, can you?
No, we can't. How's everybody going? I'm here with you-know-who. It is Mark D'Antonio.
Hey guys, what's happening?
And I wanted to get Mark on, especially with the Tim around. Tim has been around all night. Joining the little club we got going on here. And he said he's very appreciative. And I did point him towards your stream because he was asking about deep space stuff. And for anybody that was asking, this is Mark D'Antonio. His channel is the one that does a lot of the deep space stuff. The stars, the nebula, the other galaxies. This is the channel you want to go to.
Skytour live stream.
I was trying to explain to him earlier. And once again, me and Mark are just, excuse the language, we're just bullshitting tonight. We don't have an agenda tonight. We're just kind of just kicking back and...
18 plus.
Yeah. We're just kicking back and kind of just going for it for a couple minutes before we lose the moon to the horizon. But, yeah. So that's the channel you want if anybody was asking earlier. And, of course, Bill does the meteor showers and whatnot. So,
yeah. And
so what's
Paul
up,
and
Mark?
Keith, do what you see.
I haven't talked to you in forever. What's up, buddy?
I know. We haven't spoken for almost a week and a half here.
I know.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise, what's going on?
Well, I printed out more craters, more lunar craters. Actually, painted them up because we're trying to get a Cyber Monday release here.
Yeah.
To get these out.
How's it going?
Very good. I mean, we've got obviously we can print any crater, like any crater that people can see right there on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
We can print and make for them.
Now, is there a place there where people can go to get these things?
Yeah, I'm going to release the store. We started an Etsy store and it uses a PayPal account through the Etsy store. But we're also investigating other stores and maybe on Astro Imaging Live we can put up a storefront too.
Absolutely.
To allow people to buy craters so that you, for instance, if you're going to sell them on, and want to offer them up, then you could offer them from that platform or from yours.
Able to put a link down below that takes them directly to the site wherever you're selling them at. That would be like ideal for everybody.
That's fine. A one-stop shop is good too. That's what I was thinking. Astro Imaging Live, but no, I get your point.
Right.
But I want you to be able to offer them. I want to offer them. I want Bill to be able to offer them if he wants.
Now, speaking of these craters, I sent you a message earlier about what your plans were between Christmas and New Year's. Do you have any plans at this point?
I didn't see that message.
Of course, I sent it
through Skype.
Yep. Ouch! This cat is about to get freaking punt kicked. Get off my sock, cat.
Oh, yeah, you did.
See? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry. I won't be doing anything between Christmas and New Year's, I don't believe.
Because I believe I have to go to Boston that Friday after Christmas.
Oh, you're going to stop over?
And I was thinking about, if you're not doing nothing that week, I was thinking about maybe heading over your way Wednesday and Thursday.
And then do a video.
Do the video for the craters while I'm over there. And then I can just head right from there to Boston on Friday.
I've actually got the green screen out right now, in fact, if you want to do that.
Nice.
And I've got a bunch of painted craters. Our Mars craters, see, my thing is, if we're going to print craters and make craters for folks, now we're doing them in the 3D print world. So clearly, if you leave them unprocessed after they print, then they have these faceted ridges. They look like they've been built up in layers. And like shallow mountains look like terracing, like on a topographical map, but fine resolution. Well, I all but get rid of that and in my special process. And then I paint them in realistic colors. Now, Paul knows, I know, and many people in chat know and watching know, the moon is not gray.
Right.
I mean, that's a predominant color that reaches our eyes, but the moon actually is brown, it's grayish, it's white, it has whites, and it has various shades of brown and various shades of gray. So we look at the craters in detail with the full color renderings that we get, and we paint them just like the real thing. And sometimes we use up to 4 colors, different colors, using airbrushes and so forth to actually get the exact coloration. And if we don't like it, we just strip the paint off and do it
it's
again.
Amazing. It's amazing. I cannot wait to
Have
do the
to.
video of these things. It's going to be so awesome. The guy's name that you're seeing in chat, the guy's name's Timothy Todd. We want to welcome him to the imaging channels. He's the guy that I told you earlier that I pointed towards your channel. Tim, in the chat, if you're hearing this, I'm not sure if he has his stream muted or not, but this is Mark D'Antonio. This is the one. Definitely,
Hey,
if
Tim.
you have any questions about telescopes or stuff that you would need to get started, he is definitely a man. Now, of course, I recommended the Celestron 114 because I believe that is the best compact telescope for you to take around if you need to, and plus, it's inexpensive, so you can get lens kits with it and stuff, so you don't have to drain the budget and everything. But you would know more of a technical aspect of anything.
Sure, but I want to mention really quick though, Keith. You just got Ted just gave you $10, and Timothy just gave you $10.
Holy moly! Tim,
and Rockstar gave you $10.
Tim, I think, is up to $50 for the night.
No kidding.
He's been on fire. Tim, please. I mean, we appreciate it so much, but you do not have to.
MMT gave you $5 too. That's pretty cool.
Guys,
it's like people.
It's a competition.
That's great. This is wonderful. Yes, it's a hell of a competition. It's great.
And this
competition.
is why we have to get the T-shirts done and get them out to people.
Yeah. Well, see, we started something over on SkyTour Livestream. We call it a quiz and question, and I give we try to do like every half hour. We try to give a special quiz question that you can't just readily look up on Google. Mm-hmm. That's of astronomical interest. You kind of have to dig a little to get the answers. And one, like last night when we were looking at star clusters, for instance, while the moon was up, we looked at some star clusters, some tight star clusters that had a bunch of stars, like about 50 to 80 stars. And I said, now, we know that stars all form within these hydrogen gas regions, right? And they're glowing like the Orion Nebula glows. Okay, they're emitting light. Okay, because of the atomic transitions that are occurring inside the hydrogen gas because of the star's energy and all that. Well, but when you look at these star clusters, you don't see the gas. There's no gas, and the question was, how come? And that was the question. So we let that go, and basically. I said, we're going to take the first 5 correct answers. We're going to pick one at random, and that person wins. Right. Now, moving forward, that person will win either a T-shirt, a bumper sticker, or a crater, crater plate. So we're actually going to be, able to offer them swag, man. I'm looking forward to that.
And I should say, I'm just going to put this out there right now. I hate to ask anybody that donated tonight to do something else, but if you have donated tonight, please send me your mailing address in the email. All right. I'm not sure when we're going to get you something, but we are going to get you something, and I want to make sure to have those mailing addresses at the ready when we do.
That's great. D gave you $15.
Yeah, I know. It's absolutely
Trax
nuts.
gave you 10.
You guys
this
are
is
great.
Fantastic, man.
It's kind of weird. I don't want anybody this is not why we do this, people.
I know, but you did it, and I think that's kind of cool. I should add that to the SkyTour live stream too.
Yeah, it's a super chat. Once you get to a certain amount, they let you turn on a donation thing or whatever.
Yeah, I can't do that. But I got 494 people now.
What I'm doing with this, everybody that donated tonight, everything that you donated is actually I'm sending it to Paul so he can get the T-shirts started and done. Because I've have money sitting here for him for the longest time. I meant to bring it up to Hudson Valley with me. I brought the breakdown of it for taxes and everything, but I didn't bring the check with me because we were out the door so quick that morning. So yeah, we want to get the T-shirts done just so we have those. And I think we were doing some kind of sticker. I don't know. It was something funny. But once we get it done, so I want to make sure to have all your mailing addresses. So if you did donate tonight, just please shoot me a mailing address if you want something when we do it. That way I have your addresses on there, and as soon as we get them, I can send them out to you. And once again, thanks to everybody that doing it. You do not have to do this. This is not why we do this, but it is appreciated, and it will go towards stuff, and hopefully to make the channel better as well. So thank you guys.
That's so cool. Dee, look at Dee. She's so funny. She says.
Yeah, right.
My channel's worth college credits. Well, something just went by. Was it a bird? It's low to the horizon. It could have been a bird. I saw it out of the corner of my eye.
I believe it was flapping.
Okay. Wow. UFOs flap now.
Once again, thanks Rock. Thanks Ted. Thanks Tim. I lost track now. Jesus. Anyway, let's give some shout out. Let's find out who all is in the chat first of all. Let's well, I'll do participants. It doesn't really give me a full. So we got Dee, of course, the lead moderator. Wink, wink. She leads the band list by a lot. Then we got ERO and Marcus Santos and MMT and Rockstar and Starseed and Ted and Timothy Todd and Traxlin. That's all my participants list in the chat. And of course, Mark just popped in there. And
Who come
once
in
again,
and do this?
everybody watching the stream right now, believe it or not, you don't have to donate everything. You're donating your eyes. I mean, that's one of the most important things you can donate to this.
Yeah, let me add to that too, Keith, if I could.
Sure.
When we look at this, we're all collectively watching a stream of the moon.
Mm-hmm.
One thing you need to understand, everybody, is that this is at this point in history, this is the first time we've ever been able to have a number of people's eyes. Like we have 46 people watching now. There's 46 people watching the moon right now, actively watching the moon in the stream. That's 46 chances of seeing something. All right, now it's from the perspective of Miami right now. Now, last night I had the moon for a very short time, and we, if you were streaming last night, then you would have had the ability on astroimaginglive.com to see the stream of the moon from here, the stream of the moon from Miami, and actually see the differences in the moon between here and there, because we are, a partial continent, part of the way up the continent away. We're 1,500 miles away, at least, from Miami. So that would look different. The moon would look slightly different to us, and to see that difference, and also to see if anything crosses the moon. If a satellite crosses the moon in Miami, then we probably won't see that satellite necessarily here.
Right.
But depending on where it does cross, we could actually see it cross. It would, say that a satellite in Miami crossed on the far right extreme edge. Well, up here, maybe it'll pass along the far left.
Yep.
Okay, based on the motion and where the satellite is. But that depends on how it's which way it's going, and there's so much to that. Because in all likelihood we'd see nothing. Right, but the fact is, if it's going north-south, it'd be a polar orbiting bird, probably a defense satellite.
And once again, we are not oriented right. Once again, anybody that asks that, why is it just lit on the top and the bottom? Paul actually turns the camera in the receiver, so he gets the most of the lit part in full view. So we're not looking at, because it is an 80 millimeter, which I forgot to change. Let me do that now. This is the 70 millimeter that he can get it full, as much of the moon in frame as he can, because you can't back out that far with the big scopes.
Yeah.
Once again, and Timothy Todd says, what podcast are we listening to? You're not listening to a podcast. You're listening to Keith
live
from P&K Space Imaging and Mark D'Antonio from Sky Tour live stream.
Yeah, we're live, man.
We are live right now on a Saturday night at 9:10 p.m.
I'm in Connecticut, and Keith is down in west of Philadelphia. You're out near where I forget what the name of the town is.
Amish country, Lancaster County.
Yeah, Lancaster County, and the name of your town is so weird. It's a strange name. But anyway.
And then Paul is in Miami, Florida. So
that's right.
Paul's running the scopes tonight, like always, a master at his craft, doing what he does.
Sir.
And once again, it's myself and Paul that do this channel and bring this channel to you.
Yep. You guys are wonderful.
Mark specializes in deep sky objects, stars and nebulas and galaxies, and then Bill, New York Skywatcher, specializes in meteor showers. And you can view all of them. If all three of us are live, you can view all three at once on astroimaginglive.com.
Exactly.
So there's the plug for that guy.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that's fantastic.
Yeah. So I want to get the crater stuff hopefully done that week, especially if I got to go to Boston.
Sure.
Friday.
And then for those listening who not sure what the crater stuff is, we got several things we're doing. We actually make these 3D printed craters anywhere on the moon, Mars, Ceres, that is CERES, the asteroid Ceres, Vesta, Mercury, Pluto even, with New Horizons.
Mm-hmm.
I work with the USGS guys on their website to check out their system. I've kind of helped them debug it a little bit. they're doing all the work. I just do all the hey, this doesn't work stuff.
Okay, well let's
Okay.
put some credentials behind this. And anybody, I mean, most of this channel that's here all the time knows Mark D'Antonio, knows what he does. For the people that are just listening now that don't know who Mark is the lead photo and video analysis guy for MUFON. He is a professional astronomer. He is also you can see him on TV whenever you want to on NASA's Unexplained Files or What on Earth. He does own a company called FX Models, which I believe is how you're doing the craters under FX Models, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. So the credentials are there. And you've worked for numerous alphabet agencies doing contractor work for them.
Yeah, as a Navy guy. I'm not a Navy person. I'm not in the Navy, but I have my business does defense contracts. So I've managed to cultivate a few relationships with these agencies to do some work for them. And, I'm okay with people saying I'm a government plant because I know I'm not.
Yeah.
And you know something, in the UFO world, and we'll get back to craters in a second, but in the UFO world, it really is a problem to be the Mutual UFO Network's chief photo and video analyst and have a job doing some classified work at times. Because a classified project can often be indistinguishable from magic,
Right.
So I have to basically say, I got to basically say, we got to look at, telling these people something because, we had one case, as I said, out in Idaho, in Bayview, where there was a lake that they were testing this vehicle in. At the time, it was a classified project, but I knew that the people were calling in UFO reports because they were seeing this thing flying around. This very, very strangely shaped, very, very odd-looking, really malevolent-looking beast of a thing flying around out there and taking off and landing from the lake. Okay, it would surface and people were saying there's an underground base, there's an underwater base there, and there is of sorts because I did a project to actually build it, and I built a cube of water model to show what's on the lake bottom. It's a very sophisticated testing facility actually, and when I did that, and I became privy to what's going on there, they started testing this project, and this thing you'd see this thing surface in the lake, this thing that was as whitish gray. Then it would start moving along on the surface of the lake, almost look like it's hydroplaning, like a boat, and then take off and fly and disappear from sight, come back, fly around and land on the water, and then coast to a stop, and its wings would fold up, and then you'd see it go vertical and sink and go back down under the water. Okay, that's something if you saw, you would say, what was that? Because that's nothing that we recognized. And so people were calling in UFO reports and saying this was a UFO. But I knew what it was. It was a project with Lockheed and with the DOD called Project Cormorant. And a cormorant like the bird, Cormorant. And it went out of classification, that is to say it became public knowledge a couple years back. And so you can look up Project Cormorant and see what this thing looks like and what it was. And they even now have the pictures of the retrieval from the lake and stuff. And say, oh, look, there it is. Part of the reason they have these pictures, I think, and I could be wrong, is that I contacted the program office back when I was in the middle of doing these engineering models of this thing. I called it the Birdie because that was better than calling it the multi-purpose unmanned aerial vehicle.
The Birdie.
I just called it the Birdie. I said, oh, we got a Birdie. Okay, and so I said to the program office, look, you gotta tell people what you're doing. Just say it's our stuff.
Right.
And then the response was, just don't tell them a thing.
Right.
Okay, don't tell them nothing. And I said, okay, and let me paint you a scenario for what'll happen. I'll tell them nothing, and tomorrow, 10 more people will show up with cameras. The day after that, another 5 will show up with cameras, plus one guy that is going to have an underwater camera, and he's going to sneak into the lake in his diving suit, and he's going to start going underwater and getting underwater photos. Then, the day after that, 20 more people are going to show up. Then the press is going to latch on and say, what's flying over Lake Pend Oreille in Bayview, Idaho? And I painted this scenario, went right through this. And let me tell you, within 2 or 3 days, I got my letter. All right? And the letter was basically for distribution to anyone who's interested. Once people heard that it's just one of ours, something we're testing out there, basically, they all went home. And that's the thing. So I don't know. I just thought it was kind of funny.
And now's the perfect time to. One of the misconceptions about our channels is yes, we are scientifically based channels. We
Absolutely.
we base our stuff on science and evidence and what we know. Science is not perfect by any means. We're still learning new things every day. But one of the biggest misconceptions is that we're anti-UFO. We're not that. We love UFOs. If you can show us UFOs, we'll look at them all day long. Hopefully, we catch them on stream. But what we are against is provable frauds. Stuff that there's just overwhelming evidence that you could test for yourself, like flat Earth, like
flat Earth,
like Nibiru, and all that stuff. All that stuff is just garbage conspiracy theories, and that's what we don't want on the channel. We'll talk UFOs with you all day long.
Yes.
We'll even talk moon bases with you, even though we don't have any proof of any, but we'll talk it with you. And
because
hopefully we'll find
it's
something.
logical.
Yeah.
It's logical, Keith.
Yeah.
It's logical. If I was an alien, supervisor of a mission to the Earth, and I'll tell you why they would find the Earth in a minute. But I would actually set up base on the moon because as an alien species, I'd say, hey, this is convenient.
Yeah.
Let's just set up on this rock right near their planet.
And we have the far side that we can go to. They won't even detect us.
Right. Except, and this is the caveat I offered yesterday in the stream, except that, unfortunately for them, the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter has so completely mapped the entire moon, north, south pole, and central section, that down to half meter per pixel in size that you can look at right now online everywhere, almost everywhere. The resolution is so great that an alien species who doesn't recognize that will easily get caught. Yeah. So it's possible that the smoking gun is already waiting for someone to find. Think about that. There might be something already. Yeah, well, see, and here's another misconception. The LRO spacecraft brings back to us, sends back, digitally, obviously, transmits data for the lunar imagery that it takes.
Right.
And once it takes an image of the moon, it's not done with that section. It comes back and does more. But these images are all sent back down in bulk. And when they come down, no human looks at every single frame. Okay? Yeah. That doesn't happen. A lot of this is automated. Millions, actually. And so there's and it's also, terabytes of data. Yeah. And many terabytes of data. And so when you have this kind of data, a human just can't look at it all. Okay? And all you have to do is look at other government-funded agencies and how they act, okay? Someone who is, for instance, cheating on their taxes. It takes years for the IRS to catch up to them, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, if they were cheating on their taxes, if somebody looked at their stuff all the time and could actually see their stuff and have a handle on what's going on, then they would have found you after you cheated the first time within, say, 2 days.
Yeah.
Never happened. So
just don't have the personnel.
That's correct. So when NASA is photographing the moon, they don't look at every single image that comes back. There's no one sitting there going, okay, got that one. Yep, next. Got that one. Okay, good. Next. Wait, I see a moon base. Hey, Bob, fuzz that out with Photoshop.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, what do you think about the people that come out, like the one lady that came out and said that, there was proof of these guys, like she worked with a guy that's job it was to, blur out these moon images. What do you think about, that whole thing?
I think that what they're talking about in that case is there are certain processes that are still on shaky ground, meaning the LRO images come back and they have to stitch the moon back together, okay? They have to put all these images together seamlessly. Well, sometimes if in the first pass of the stitching these back together, you're missing data. And so these little black triangles will show up that are the lack of data triangles, okay?
Right.
And when that happens, somebody has to,
Oh, that couldn't be, security team's mystery black square in the middle of gigantic space, could it? That couldn't be just a little square area of missing data, could it?
Exactly. And you know what the key is? The fact that it's usually on a stitched image, it's a triangular piece. Yep. That's a dead giveaway. Or in a SOHO image, it's a square object that seems to be missing data. Okay.
Boy, hold that
The-
thought real quick, because Mark, we
Yeah.
got so much to talk about because we had somebody in here earlier that was talking about the hexagons at the poles of planets.
But that's a natural formation.
I know. I want to save some convo. Are you going to be available tomorrow night?
What's tomorrow night? Sunday?
Yeah.
I think I am.
Okay.
I'm not doing any radio shows
If
tomorrow.
you are, and Paul's saying there's a very, very good chance it's going to be clear tomorrow. If you want to come on, I'll have you on for the entire stream, and we will go.
Well, you know how that works.
Yeah, it usually ends up going 5 or 6 hours.
Can you be on here for an hour? Sure. 4 hours later.
Yeah, last time I was like, hey, Mark. He's like, yeah, we'll come on for about 20 minutes or so. 3.5 hours later, we're still chit-chatting.
Right? Because, well, first of all,
The
the dynamic that we share with the topic, and of course we're friends, and the dynamic, it just makes for a stream where we're there with friends. You're out with friends.
Yeah.
I'm having a Coke at a bar with my friend. You're having a Molson. I'm having a Coke because I don't drink, and we're talking at a bar or something. That's what it's like.
Yep.
Next thing you know, 3 hours passed, and people are calling saying, "When are you coming home?"
Not only that, but the
What?
people in the chat that are thirsting for knowledge, that know how stuff
Yes.
works, and it's just amazing. Especially on this stream, I have noticed a full turnaround from the time that we started this stream till now, where that chat, even for veteran people of this channel that's been here since the beginning, are still asking questions. And I've noticed that usually some nights when I kick back, when I'm just overly beat and let the moderators take over, they're passing the information they learned from you on to new people coming into the channel. I just think it's great. It's like, because it's not easy to become a moderator on this channel. Now, people may come in here and look and say, wow, you got a lot of moderators. Every one of the names lit up in blue are blue for a reason. I just don't, mod people.
They pass the test of time and responsibility. I mean, it's not a small job.
Right.
Paul it's not minimal.
Paul says, I'm going to go cook a steak while we're on wide field. And then he just texted me back. He just said, yum. So I guess that's what he was doing for the last 10 minutes, is cooking up his steak. That man loves steak.
Does he have his gas grill up on the top of the place there?
I have no idea how he does it, but man.
That's funny. Can you imagine that?
Yeah. Oh, wow. He just went back to the big scope real quick. All right. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, if you're free and if you feel like it, I'm not going to hold you to it if, something comes up. But why don't we do that? Why don't tomorrow night? Because we're going to start early. We're going to start probably 6 to 6:30.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, if we'll do that, we'll just have you on the whole time, and we'll let chat go crazy asking questions, and, why not? There seems to be a lot of, and if anybody knows anybody that's interested in space and wants to check it out for the first time, tomorrow night will be a great time to check out the stream for the first time if you know anybody that might want to, or would like to learn a thing too, because I guarantee you will learn something tomorrow night. 100%.
Well, I think that it's really interesting. I mean, on one of my streams, and I think even on yours, I ask people a fundamental question, and this is one of the quiz and question things for my stream, which I'm going to pop on people the next clear stream, but I'll offer it here too. Mm-hmm. And people might know this because of what I've said before, but I'm not going to give you the answer right now. And that is, if you look at the moon, you'll notice.
Is this the question you asked last night?
Yes.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Ask it here. So once again, don't give the answer. That way, if anybody is here that wants to subscribe to Mark's channel, you can go over there and find the answer the next time he streams.
Actually, this is not the question I asked last night. This is the question that's going to be on the next stream. So you'll get a head start.
Okay.
I asked the question, and I answered it on one of my previous streams. So people that are, faithful followers will know the answer. But they won't know the whole answer. And they're going to have to do a little research to get the full answer, okay? Now, I can tell them right now, but I won't, okay? Because that's part of the fun.
Research is fun.
Exactly, Google is your friend. So the question is this. We see the near side of the moon has a lot of dark maria. Those are areas where impacts went through a relatively thin crust to get to a molten interior early in the bombardment phase of the moon.
This was actually earlier. We were talking about this in chat, actually.
Okay, great. Well, on the far side of the moon, we don't have any maria except over in Mare Moscoviense on one side of the far side. That's it. Even in the lowest spot on the moon, which is on the far side of the moon in the Aitken Basin, okay, down the southern end, we don't see Maria. Okay, those dark patches of where lava flooded, the surface of the moon in the bombardment phase. The question is, why are there no Maria on the far side, but there are on the near side? That's the question that I will pose. That's the question I'll pose. Now,
I might have answered that in chat earlier, but that's okay.
Well, maybe if you answered it right, that's good, but that's okay. I mean, it gives people a head start. But there's to get the answer, I ended up reading, not to get an answer, but to actually formulate the question. I had been reading some research papers, and I used the archive.org site, arxiv.org, and there was a paper on planetary physics up there that I read, and I realized, wow, that's so cool. And then I realized there's some popular information out there that could get people to this conclusion. So hopefully they'll check it out. So the question is, again, why on the near side we have all the Maria, and on the far side of the moon we don't have any? And Mare Muscoviense we can ignore. It's sort of an outlier at the northern side. Mm-hmm. And it's very small. It's the size of a large impact.
And you know what? When we go off air, I'm going to run my answer by you to see if I was right, because I believe I am. I believe me and you went over this numerous times, and I believe I have it down packed, which is why I passed it on in chat. But
that's okay.
I'll make sure.
Well,
you are my professor.
Yeah, right. As you know, okay, I'm going to be, going further with my education anyway, right. And I'm going to end up working towards some planetary science credentials as well. Because and I never was gonna. I always was bored with planetary science, but then I started to, when I was, becoming a specialty guy in exoplanets, planets around other stars, I began to realize that to understand planets around other stars, you have to be a planetary scientist.
Right.
That's the primary focus. You should look at that first, and to do that, you look at what we have in our solar system. And that started the ball rolling.
And being an exoplanet guy, I mean, once again, we've been over this 100 times on both channels, but man, how exciting is it for this James Webb Telescope?
Oh, it's so exciting that I sometimes find myself just looking for the latest. I have okay, 18 plus. I find myself looking online for more launch date specifics and to find out if they know when it's going to launch yet.
I know, I can't wait. Oh.
Yeah. But you know something, and I'm sure you talked about this in chat or maybe earlier. We did have that spindly asteroid just pass by our solar system.
Oh, yeah, the one that all the UFO channels were freaking out about?
Yes. Now, what's interesting is it was 10 times longer than it was wide. So it was very, very long and thin, kind of like a cigar. Mm-hmm. And it was also confirmed that it was interstellar. It came from between the stars, basically, its origin. Now, it came from sort of the direction that Vega is now, but at the rate it was moving, like 85,000 miles an hour, and the distance of Vega, 30,000 years ago, in that space where it originated, Vega wasn't anywhere near there. So this was truly an interstellar interloper, okay? Now, how does that happen? How could an asteroid like that have been removed from a solar system? It could have happened in the same way that asteroids in our solar system have been displaced and ejected from the solar system. Yes. Gravitational perturbation, which is forces of gravity moving something in a way that takes it into a fatal path, like into the sun, onto a planet, or on a parabolic orbit that goes around the sun and whips it out of the solar system at high speed. That kind of thing has happened before in our solar system. And what we're looking at is probably the result of it happening in another solar system somewhere. And it just happened to come zipping through our solar system. Why? You say, well, why would it come to our solar system? That seems targeted. Well, let's be honest. We have a very large gravity well in the middle of our solar system, and that's the sun. And it's pulling things. So something that's heading in a path that's kind of going away from the sun, it has plenty of time. The sun has plenty of time to operate on it with its gravity and start tugging it gently toward it. And as it accelerates, as it gets toward the sun, as the the gravity becomes stronger, and then it just goes whipping through the solar system, and that's what this thing did. In fact, it went so fast that they had to really scramble to get telescopes on it and to get imagery of it. The reason it was very important to do this is because of the fact that it originated in another solar system somewhere. And this is believe it or not, this is how science thinks. The scientists who saw this said this was the first time we ever saw something truly interstellar from another solar system. Right. Now, that's a true statement. But for science, okay, it doesn't become real until they see it. Okay, you can theorize all you want. We theorize that there's a circumstellar disk, meaning a disk of material around this star.
Well, it was the same thing with the gravity. Help me out here.
Warp drive?
The gravity that just happened.
Oh, the gravity waves. The gravitational waves.
They theorized they were there, but they didn't really know 100% until they saw it, and they actually got it twice.
Yes. The LIGO there.
Yep.
Laser Interferometry Gravitational Wave Observatory. Okay, LIGO. Just call it LIGO. Yeah, and the thing is that when we saw it with that, then it became real. Then it became something that we could now put science to, beyond the hypothetical, beyond the suspected, and beyond the theoretical. It became actual, and that's what science is. Now I always speculate. People know I speculate, and I'm okay with that. I'm happy to speculate. On SkyTour live stream, I will speculate quite a bit and tell people. Like last night, the topic, the discussion topic. We do a discussion topic at the beginning. I do a little monologue which talks about it.
Yeah, but I have to point out, here's the difference. You can speculate, but you will tell people when you're speculating. That's the difference between your channel and other channels. Other channels will try to portray a lot of this stuff as truth when it's not.
Yeah, I don't like the people that take this authoritative approach, like, this is how it is. The government is doing this.
This is not Nibiru coming in on a webcam in the middle of the ocean.
Yes, it's proof without a shadow of a doubt. When I see that, I change it because I know that's it's only filled with doubt.
Yeah.
But last night's discussion topic was aliens among us, and I had that discussion topic while we were doing these observations of deep sky objects and other things. Why would that be a discussion topic to talk about? Well, because we're looking at these other stars that could potentially have planets, and then we're talking about propulsion concepts that could get them from there to here in a very realistic way. I mean, we talked about the Alcubierre drive again, which is the warp drive. Which
we'll talk about tomorrow night as well.
We can. And then I talked about how I saw on that sub when I was a guest on the sub, and I was truly a guest of the Navy because I was doing a project for them, and they invited me to take a ride. And I said to many people, at the time and today, it was the most fun I ever had getting seasick. But anyway, and that's, and the UK Sun, that paper.
Yeah.
They picked up on my story and they put it out all over the world. So I got an article written about that event on the submarine that went worldwide, and that was just a couple months ago. So. No one's contacted me about that, and that's fine. Because the truth is, if somebody does, then they're actually admitting, that's true. But I don't need that. The rest of the people reading can just say, "Oh, he's just a nutcase," and that's fine. Okay, because like James Fox, he's my friend. James Fox is a good friend, and he did the movie "I Know What I Saw." Quote unquote, "I know what I saw,"
yep.
And I know what I saw. I know what I experienced, and I know that nobody knew what the hell it was. And then when I had to do a project for the president's own advisors from the Navy 4 years later, I asked the man who was second in command, okay? I asked him about this particular program that logs these things, and he told me he couldn't talk about the program. So,
fair enough.
Yeah. It was fair enough. So, I've said this is the phrase I say, by telling me nothing, he told me everything. And I think that's cool, and I respected that. You
know what I wanted to tell you, too? If I got a little experiment for you to do in Universe Sandbox, too.
Oh, okay.
And it's crazy. If you take a planet twice the mass of Earth,
Yep.
and make it water, and crash it into Jupiter,
Yeah.
Jupiter will ignite into a sun.
Well, that's only because you're throwing a lot of hydrogen and oxygen at it, okay? Because it doesn't care that it's H2O.
Right.
That gets broken apart. Okay.
It's
What's
just
most
neat.
important? What's most important is actually the mass.
Right.
Okay. You have to make it something that will make Jupiter have 80 times the mass that it has. Okay, to turn it into a sun. So if you throw something Earth-sized at Jupiter, that's not going to increase its mass by 80 times.
Right.
You know.
Well, I did this. If you do twice the mass of Earth, pure H2O, and throw it into Jupiter, in Universe Sandbox 2, Jupiter actually ignites into a star.
Well,
is
it a star or does it just go molten?
No, it's a full-blown star. Because I went thousands of years ahead just to make sure, and it stayed a star. We became a binary system.
Well, we better report that as a bug then, because that's not what would happen.
Well, try it on yours and see.
I will. I will. I'm sure I will. I mean, I'll make it happen. But yeah, I do think that it's and for those listening, Universe Sandbox 2 is a program you can download through Steam or elsewhere. It allows you to play out different scenarios. I've actually done a cloudy night stream with Universe Sandbox, and I showed people not only how it works, but we made scenarios. We talked about what would happen if Earth had two moons, for instance, and what happens if the moon is too close to the Earth. What would happen? And you see that the moon starts to break apart. Okay, that has to do with something called Roche lobes, R-O-C-H-E, Roche lobes, and they're the location at which a planet can no longer hold itself together because of the differential gravitational pull from the planet that it's orbiting. The near side of the moon would be subjected to far higher gravity than the far side of the moon. Okay, gravity, we've discovered, a long time ago, it falls off in intensity by the square of the distance from the source. So, if you go 4 times farther away from the Earth, gravity is 16 times weaker. Okay. 8 times weaker. All right. So, if you go like double, all right, then it's 4 times weaker. All right. It's the square. So, the square of the radius of the distance between the objects. So, if you look at Universe Sandbox 2, the closer you get, all right, the force of gravity is more intense. That's why, for instance, when astronauts are weightless in orbit, okay, they're weightless, but that's actually microgravity, okay? They're only weightless because they're speeding around the Earth fast enough so that they're in constant free fall.
Yep. That's what orbit is.
That's right. Orbit is a constant free fall. And if you think about that, that's a delicate balance, okay? The International Space Station is moving 17,500 miles across. Miles an hour as it goes across the sky. To put that into perspective, you should watch the transit of the International Space Station across the sun. There's a lot of people that have done this. If you watch it in real time, you'll see this little black thing with a shape to it that you can see goes across the sun's disk. And it's going across the sun's disk. Yep. That's the space station with all the appendages and delicate gossamer solar panels moving at 17,500 miles an hour across the face of the sun as seen from the Earth. It's moving so freaking fast. Now, there's still the stray molecule, an atom, that's going to hit the space station as it's orbiting. Okay? Why? Because even though it's 252 miles up, above what we call the atmosphere, the solar energy impinging and hitting Earth's atmosphere causes the atmosphere to, get higher and lower. Okay, as the atmosphere gets excited and the atoms get excited, it gets the atoms get higher. The atmosphere gets a little thicker in that location, and then it relaxes over time. But as it gets higher, especially with solar energy, increasing like a solar flare or something like that, then the atmosphere kind of swells a little bit, and those atoms can actually hit the International Space Station. And you don't have to think of it as they're little bullets. It's not that, okay? But those atoms will put what's called drag on the International Space Station. All right, because it is a bulky, very bulky looking thing. When you look at it, you got all these big long things sticking off of it. You could get drag, and if you get enough of it, then the solar panels are going to flex a little bit in the other direction from the motion as they're getting kind of pushed back, for instance, by the impact of these atoms. Now that would be an awful lot of drag. In fact, that's a fatal amount of drag. But that's going to happen by around 2025 or so if the space station funding is pulled, which is what they're actually planning to deorbit the International Space Station. In the mid 2020s. I'm not sure which date. They keep changing it, but the International Space Station is not going to be a permanent fixture. It's going to come down. All right, and that'll be at some point, sooner than later. But we'll have more things that we'll put up again. We'll put something else up there.
Absolutely. And once again, that is more to talk about tomorrow night. I just got the 5 to 10 minute warning from Paul before he loses the moon out of sight. So once again, guys, tomorrow night, myself, Mark D'Antonio, I believe Bill is still doing KGRA tomorrow night, or I would try to get him in.
That poor guy.
Tim, if you are around tomorrow night and you have Skype, we might just pull you in on Skype with us if you want.
Hey, that'd be fun. Yeah, I had Ronald come in. Ronald is Ronald Tolvar. He came in with us. I asked for people that had experiences with, strange things they've seen, and I said, tell us your story, and a lucky person will come on board with us and talk to us for a little while. So I brought Tim in, and Amanda actually brought Tim in. Amanda Curran, she's my co-host on SkyTour Livestream, and we brought in Ronald, and he told us about his interesting experience he had, and then. So we could do that. That's a great idea. It's always good to bring in someone out in the chat or someone who's watching.
Yeah, well, Tim, he's just been. I mean, dude, I think he's like up to $70 or $80 that he donated today alone.
Wow,
it's just crazy. And if I'm reading this right, I'm thinking that he's been looking for something like this with like-minded space people. So I'm really glad he found us. So
yeah, that's
with
great.
That said, once again, Tim, if you want to come on tomorrow night, Skype, just let me know, and I'll be sure to add you in, and you can come on and hang out with me and Mark. And while we're streaming, you can ask whatever questions you want and whatever you want to do. Not a problem. On that note, Mark, I think I'm going to wrap us up. I'll go back to music for a couple minutes just until we end the stream. But once again, tomorrow night, Mark D'Antonio. And you can see Mark on NASA's Unexplained Files and What on Earth. And I'm not sure what channel What on Earth is on. Is it Discovery?
It might. Well, that's NASA's Unexplained Files on Discovery Channel.
Okay.
I think What on Earth is on the History Channel. I could be wrong.
No. Yeah,
I just filmed season 4 with them, and then I have another series, by the way, that's starting up. That's looking at have me do some work with them, and that's still a top secret thing. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, that's okay. But that's another one still, and that one's actually pretty exciting. So I'll keep you posted.
And be sure, like we're gonna put it out there as soon as we find out. So
yeah, you will.
But yeah, so once again, thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to D. Rockstar is still in there. Let me just run down this list real quick. Participant people.
Thank you, D.
D and ERO and Nancy. Nancy hasn't been here the whole night. She just came in not too long ago.
You're getting rid of her now. You're kicking everybody away.
Yeah, dude, we wouldn't do it, but the sun's going, or the moon's going down over the thing where we can't see it anymore. Oscar and Pro Tool, of course, Rockstar Ted, Timothy Todd, of course, Trax and Victor. That's who I have as participants, and everybody else listening on YouTube and watching on YouTube. Thanks for joining us. Tomorrow night, you are looking probably about 6:30 p.m. East Coast time. We'll probably hit the air, and we'll go until the moon's down. We can't see it anymore, which is probably going to be around 10:15 tomorrow night, possibly. Maybe a little bit later. Maybe it might stretch to 10:30. So
okay,
and then we'll keep on streaming every night after that. As long as it's clear, we'll be on the air doing our thing like always. So once again, everybody, hopefully you'll join us tomorrow night. Set your reminders, whatever you got to do, and we will see you tomorrow night. So I'll leave the stream on for about 5 minutes yet, and then we'll go off from there. So
All right.
take
Good night,
care.
everybody.
Yep. Take care,
See you tomorrow.
everybody, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.